Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is the Cynic and this is another installment of Everything Great About. Today we're going to be covering Day of the Diesels. I decided to skip out Misty Island Rescue because, well, I didn't really feel like making a video that was like 2 seconds long, so I just went straight to this one. I really hope you enjoy this video, please subscribe to boost my ego, and let's talk about Day of the Diesels. So when I first watched this movie, one of the things that really struck me was the intro. We get quite an unusual intro for a Thomas special. It starts off normally enough, the flowers are blooming and the birds are singing, and everything's happy and dandy on the island of Sodor, and then, oh suddenly, there's a fire. Let's talk about the fire for a minute. It's a really interesting sequence. First off, it's worth noting that the animation in this movie was a massive step up from previous specials and seasons. I felt like the animation gained a much more detailed quality here, and it was really nice to see. The fire is also treated as the very serious incident that it actually is. It's always nice to see this realism creeping into these Thomas Nitrogen specials even more. Now, say what you will about Belle as a character, her introduction here was at least fantastic. It's very cinematic with her charging through the smoke, and I think it lends itself quite nicely to the kind of action-y feel this movie was going for. Let's talk about Percy in this movie, since this is the point of the movie where his arc really begins. Percy was definitely the standout aspect of this movie, and the thing that makes it just so much better than Misty Island Rescue. The concept here is really strong. Thomas and Percy's dynamic and their kind of drifting away from each other is shown really well and really gradually. It's great character development, and I really like the fact that they thought to go in this direction. This is also pretty much the first Thomas special that focused on a character other than Thomas as the lead. I think Percy suits the role really well, and Tale of the Brave would certainly expand upon this again really nicely. Now, I don't particularly like the idea of a steamworks and a dieselworks, however I do feel that they were used in this movie fairly well. They were very integral to the plot, and they played a role, and there was some nice setup at the beginning. It's definitely a major location in the CGI series, and although I don't love it, I think it earned its place here. Diesel being used as a kind of scout by Diesel 10 to sniff out Percy's weaknesses was a really good idea. I think it lent itself quite perfectly to Diesel's character. Diesel isn't aggressive or in your face, he's just very subtly manipulative, and I think that works. Again, Percy was the perfect character for the role he was put in this special. In CGI Thomas, he's very inexperienced and young, and unlike an engine like Gordon or James, he wouldn't be put off immediately by Diesel wanting to talk to him. Percy's little conscience alley between the two tracks, Diesel and Thomas, is a really good storytelling device here. I actually think this is an incredibly good piece of writing from Miller, one that it almost feels like Brenner might have used. Percy here is really struggling between divided loyalties. His supposedly best friend, who doesn't seem to want him anymore, and the Diesel works, where apparently he'll be treated like a hero. This goes on to lead into a really strong moral about not trusting people just because they seem like you, or as if they might be your friends. The introduction of the Diesel works here is really impressive. Sure, the set isn't fantastic, but the way it is choreographed here is absolutely amazing. The low camera angles, the tiny details, it's all perfect. I think this really gives the place an air of atmosphere and foreboding, which is only added to when Diesel 10 crawls out. Speaking of which, let's talk about Diesel 10 in this movie. I like him here. I don't like him as much as I do in Magic Railroad, where he's really aggressive and in your face, but I think this manipulative personality works quite well. This is almost what we've seen from Diesel in the classic seasons. Before he's turned into a baby at the end, he's really quite threatening in a very underhand kind of way. I think it suits him. This scene here is also pretty powerful. We see the Diesels closing on Percy like a pack of wolves. I think the set here also really shines. I'll get to that in a minute. Den and Dot are some of the better characters to come out of the Miller era. I think they work well together, and their character introductions here are also pretty decent. And this is what I mean about the set design of the Diesel works. This clip is fascinating. I think it's a detail that not many people notice, but after Percy tells his joke, he is raised up on the turntable towards the Diesel's level. It's almost like he's becoming an equal in their eyes. He's being taken in, manipulated, and he doesn't even realise it, which makes it even more powerful. And as Salty and Mavis roll in, we see this even more. They're now below Percy and they're speaking up to him and the Diesels. This perhaps shows that they aren't quite as sadistic as all the other ones are. I think this is a really interesting detail and one that people should pay more attention to. Props to Miller here. This is kind of dumb, but the gag with Diesel 10 and his shed doors is actually kind of funny, strangely. But this time, inside the Diesel works, Percy is still very much below Diesel 10. He's now reporting to him like a boss, like the other Diesels would. And I think this is another really interesting detail. Percy's been manipulated into following Diesel 10's orders, doing what Diesel 10 wants. We also see Diesel 10 get slightly angry, and I think this works well with his character. He is very sly and quiet and devious, but there are moments when his temper seems to run away with him a bit. This is more good character design. I think this is the moment when Percy really starts to lose faith in Thomas. Although we've seen this scenario played out with numerous different characters in numerous different specials and episodes, I think it still works and is quite poignant. However, it is kind of overused here, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt since it shows nicely how far Percy and Thomas are going to go by the end of this special. In this scene here, I think this is a perfect example of how lighting was used much better than it was in the likes of Misty Island Rescue or Hero of the Rails. People tend to say that Nitrogen didn't improve at all with their animation, unlike ARC Productions, and I just don't think that's true. They certainly had some better moments during Day of the Diesels, Blue Mountain Mystery, and Season 16. And now, feeling like he's been forsaken by Thomas, we see Percy playing into Diesel 10's hands, or rather, claw. You really get the sense here that Diesel 10 is up to something. Even though it turns out to be the most babyish plot ever, but for now it's good. It's also interesting to note that Percy feels like an equal with Diesel 10 again, sitting up with them there above the turntable. Before his stupid Steamworks plan is revealed, Diesel 10's plan to capture Thomas is actually pretty dark and quite nice. This shot, 3 wins, nothing more to say. And now we come to it at last, Diesel 10's dumb plot to take over the Steamworks. However, I will at least give credit to the fact he does at least snap his claw at Percy. There's a bit of aggression there, and Percy's shock and betrayal is very evident. I don't like this part of the movie, not by a long stretch, but it does have some redeeming moments. And the concept of a fire is brought up once again. I do like the way that this was hinted at with foreshadowing at the first point in the movie, and now, almost 50 minutes later, we see it come to light again. We also get a little bit of development for Den and Dart here. The fact that they are, in the end, willing to let Thomas go shows a lot about them as characters, and I like the fact that this was added in to show that they aren't heartless brutes like the rest of the Diesels. This scene, where all the Steamies gather together and charge to the Steamworks to save it, is really cool. In fact, I might even go as far to say that this is one of my favourite scenes in the entirety of CGI Thomas. It's just that cool and epic. It's really let down by the following sequence, but for now it is absolutely fantastic, and the way it builds up with the music and the tension is just perfect. As the Steamies charge in and Diesel 10 whirls around to face them, there is a real sense of confrontation. There's a bit of needless narration here and there, but I don't mind it, because everything else is on point. The music is chilling, and Diesel 10's voice is pretty ugly, really. I like the fact that feels like some real beef about to go down between these two groups. It is kind of ruined, but there's some real aggression here, and this really builds characters on both sides. Well folks, thanks for watching this video. It's been an absolute ride. This special is one that I don't feel gets enough love, and I'm glad to see it got a decent amount of wins here. Now, I'm going to be going away for a couple of weeks again. I have been quite stressed with the latest videos because one of them, as you might know, got taken down for apparently violating YouTube's Violent Criminal Organizations policy. No idea what that is about, but I'm just glad to have it re-uploaded. So as I say, I'll be going away for a couple of weeks, and there won't be any videos then. However, I'm planning to use the time to get a bit of a rest and maybe write some more script ideas. So, thanks for watching, this has been the Thomas Cynic, and until the next time, have a good one.